What do you think John would say if he were here right now? Anything?
What I want him to understand is that he was the one that made the choice to drive the way that he did. He was the one that made the choice to put the keys in the car, to take two separate cars. He was the one that made the choice to operate the vehicle the way he did, to put his foot on the gas pedal the way he did, to drink before he got in the car. It was his choice to drive the way he did down a road that he should be familiar with when it's wet and after having had some alcohol. So I want him to understand that this is his fault. This crash was his fault and only his fault.
It's going to be a little difficult for me to get through, but I'll try the best I can. I'm Ed Graziano, the father of John Graziano. And John, even though I have a 32-year-old son here, he is the child from my wife's first marriage. So John was my firstborn son. Of course, being my firstborn son, my first chance to carry on my family name. From the first moment I looked at him and held him in my arms on January 4th, 1985, I had high hopes and dreams for my son. I wanted him to be healthy, safe, and have the opportunities in life to be home and whatever his heart desired. To be the kind of man that others would look up to and be proud of. On August 25th, 2007, John was everything I hoped he had dreamed, everything I hoped and dreamed he could be. He was healthy, he was safe, and he was strong. He was a hero. He was a United States Marine, not only to me and his mother, but to our country. On August 25th, 2007, he had an incredible future, full of so many opportunities. However, on August 26, 2007, everything changed because of the senseless, reckless acts of Nick Bollea. What Al-Qaeda could not do to my son, Nick Bollea did in a matter of minutes. He destroyed my son's future. Not only did he destroy my son's life, he destroyed the lives of those who John loved.
What I'm about to say is not motivated by anger or revenge. I'm so numb right now, it's hard to feel any emotion but extreme sadness. Every day I go to see my son, John, a once healthy, handsome, brave Marine lying in a bed. I jump with excitement if he moves his eyes toward me, if he's able to squeeze my hand, even if he's able to breathe without a tube. No mother should have to live with this the rest of her life. My son's family will also have to live with this suffering the rest of their lives. I pray for a miracle, but I know that the doctors tell me he will never be totally John again because such a large part of his brain had been removed. Since the crash, I've learned that what happened is more the rule than the exception when it comes to Nick's driving. In the beginning, I was unaware of how his behavior was not only tolerated, but encouraged. I did not know that Nick's father was in the car when he was pulled over for going over 100 miles an hour. I did not know his mom was on a video bragging about speeding and dodging the cops. I didn't know about speeding through construction sites. This shows me a pattern of self-enjoyment with a disregard for the right of others. Every part of that car was modified to race, shouldn't have been on the street. Since the crash, I have not seen one tear or heard one apology. I have heard my son's traumatic brain injury described by Nick as a bump on the head, while he knew firsthand how close to death he had come. I was shocked to learn that if you withhold adjudication, sometime in the future it could be like this never happened. Instead of carrying around with him for the rest of his life like John will do, it will be in his past and forgotten. An adjudication of guilt is necessary in order to announce to the world that there is a consequence that cannot be erased, and that he must think of John every time he gets into a car. How can you withhold adjudication when you see the sentence John and I have and John's whole family has? My first request is that you adjudicate him guilty.
Having spent so much time with John, I felt like John was just another part of my family. Having been there since the beginning at the accident with John and at the hospital countless days with both John and Debbie, I understand how devastating this unfortunate situation has been to the whole Graziano family. what many people really don't understand, although it really pales in comparison to the heartache the Grazianos have felt. Our family has been devastated and pretty much torn apart by this situation also. You know, I've been in the media for a long time, almost 30 years, and I know it's not easy for Nick having to fall into the shadow of being a celebrity son, or actually, you know, being part of a celebrity family. And the way I watch the press and even here today, a lot of stuff that has been spoken to as fact is not true. There'll be a time and place for the truth to come out, but my son has been unfairly attacked by the media simply because of his on-air personality. What the people see on TV and the way the people have attacked Nick, it's not his persona, it's just the on-air persona, and that's not who Nick truly is. Nick is a good person. The things about my son that stand out is Nick is kind, he's gentle, he's compassionate, and he doesn't have a bad bone in his body. And despite his physical appearance, well, people sometimes fail to realize that Nick is still a 17-year-old child.
John being hurt in this accident is something that Nick carries around every day, regardless of what happens in our lives. He is deeply saddened that he just doesn't have his friend around anymore, and it kills him to see John hurt, and to think that it happened when John was with him. Your Honor, I know my son never meant to hurt his best friend. I know if he had a choice, he would have traded places with John. He loves him so much. Your Honor, Nick is prepared to do whatever the court deems appropriate. I just hope and ask that you remember that these were two best friends having the times of their lives.
Thank you, Your Honor, for having me up here. Your Honor, my life changed tremendously on August 26, 2007, when the man I look up to and had looked up to for so long was injured in the car accident that I was involved in. John Graziano is my best friend, and I always had looked up to him as an older brother. And whatever pain and suffering I have gone through and my family has gone through will never be anything compared to what John has had to endure. Every day I miss being with John. I miss being around John. I miss laughing at John's jokes. I miss John's presence. And I miss John being around me all the time. I know this has been extremely difficult for the Grazianos, and it has also been extremely difficult for my family, and I feel terrible about it. I'd like to apologize to the Grazianos and also my family for the accident on August 26th. It's not easy reading and listening and hearing about all the terrible things that are said about myself and my family after this. And I'd also like to point out that no matter what has been said here today, every single day I think about the accident and I think about John. I pray for John morning, noon, night, any chance I get. And there will never be a day in my life that I don't, and that I'll never ever forget this. I know for a fact I've apologized to the Grazianos, but I want to say that I will never ever be able to say I'm sorry enough. And I'll never ever be able to tell John sorry enough times to ever repay what has ever happened on August 26th. And I do genuinely mean that. I'm terribly sorry.